This is your Sci-Fi Now. We're going to review the USA Network TV show Colony, Season 3, Episode 13, What Goes Around. But first, let me make sure that you've heard that Colony has been canceled. And I also want you to know that there's a fan effort to get the show picked up by Netflix or some other company. You'll find some links below for petitions and maybe other ways you can help. On to the episode, spoilers follow. In the previously on Colony scenes, we once again see the sequence of Kynes acting like he got shot, but then a split second later we see Garland with his gun pointed towards the ground, and Garland claimed to be the one who shot Kynes. You can call it an editing mistake if you like, but its inclusion in the previously on Colony scene suggests it may be important and not a mistake. Helena's cat is named Tinkerbell, a Disney reference. Interesting that Helena decided to save her cat rather than any people. There's automatic weapons fire outside the command center. Two gray hats in the command center go to investigate, and they fall first, followed by perhaps the entire leadership of the IGA. With its camouflage generator off, it turns out the predator-like Demi is actually quite lovely and has human hands, a human face below the eyes, human sexy legs, and I think we have to consider whether there's any way this could actually just be a human female. Granted, she does have some advanced technology. The graffiti on the wall when Will is bugging out reads 8118. The creases on your palms look like the Arabic writing for 81 and 18, so it's a symbol for the left and right hand or the 99 faces of Allah. It could just be graffiti that was already there. No judgment here. It's really unlike Will to not watch where he's going as he comes to a corner. Remember how he was last week? I wonder if he deliberately got tasered and captured. Snyder's right-hand man Garland encourages him to contact the hosts. Snyder says, "Give me a minute." We're supposed to assume that Snyder contacted the hosts, but I recommend caution. It's possible he didn't call, or it's possible he did but nobody answered. We don't know. We didn't see what happened. Next scene, Snyder tells Will, "I've just heard from our hosts. If they don't choose to defend this colony, we will be annihilated from space. Nothing will be left but a smoking crater." He says they have to cough up 150 outliers or else the hosts won't defend them. In the same conversation, Snyder admits, "You're right to be skeptical. After all, I am a known liar." When people like Snyder start quoting what aliens said and we have no way to verify it, I think we should indeed be skeptical. It's true that Snyder had some idea of the method of attack, since he said smoking crater, but the hosts are not the only possible source of that information. Recall that last episode, Amy took off Kynes' jacket and his bulletproof vest, yet left his shirt. Amy says she's doing the best she can to keep Kynes alive, but she still hasn't taken off his shirt. Broussard says, "We should try to confirm at least some of what he's saying. Maybe we can find a telescope and take a look at that factory." This is interesting because the photo in the IGA command center in the episode Puzzle Man showed a massive new crater that would be easily visible to the naked eye. They should have put two and two together now, if not before. Katie goes snooping in Bram's room, and she finds two books. One has some Cyrillic writing, and with the help of a few people, I was able to find the source on the internet. It says, "Stop censorship." Stop is spelled in English, and the Cyrillic writing is the Ukrainian word for censorship. The photo of Bram's girlfriend falls out of another book, At the Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft. It's a science fiction horror story set in Antarctica. And lo and behold, on Bram's table, there is a globe with Antarctica pointed right towards us. It's a weird, outdated map. Amy tells Katie, "My boyfriend was an oncologist in Seattle before the arrival." That's interesting, since it suggests Amy has a close link to Seattle and probably even lived in Seattle earlier. She's in shock at learning that the factory was destroyed, and in turn so is Katie. Again, they should have seen the new crater on the moon, unless it was never there. Also, I'm not sure Amy has seen Broussard since he learned about the factory, and the phones are probably still down. Bram gets sent into an ambush by his girlfriend's father. Then later he goes to the guy's house, and of course he has to pick up Gracie, but he doesn't seem to be in any hurry to leave. Oh, Bram. On the radio, Buenos Aires calls the Demis Los Demonios and says they are the ones they warned us would come. Perhaps other captured raps warned about the Demis as well, a worldwide propaganda campaign? Amy checks for pupil dilation with Kynes' eyes closed. The IV line goes to the ground, not to Kynes. Amy says, "Without an MRI machine, I can't tell if you're still bleeding internally." That's nonsense. They can do it without machines. They can do it with physical symptoms such as swelling and purple coloration. But when they do use machines, they don't use an MRI machine. They use ultrasound or a CAT scan. Keep in mind that Broussard is just out the door and eavesdropping. In case you think I'm looking at too small details, note that I commented on this painting last week, and this week Snyder called it too grim, really bringing it to our attention. Also, in the official podcast, executive producer Wes Took said that he appreciated the fans who looked at the details that they had put into the show. One detail in the conference room scene is that the corners of the table are cut off. In the Battlestar Galactica reboot, the Colonials hated right angles and cut them off, so it's possibly a reference. The Colonials were fighting the machines, after all. Snyder blows out the brains of Kyne's former chief technology officer. His name is Mr. Morrow, which is a second Disney reference after Tinkerbell the cat. At Disney World, on the People Mover, an announcement says, "Paging Mr. Morrow, Mr. Tom Morrow. Please contact Mr. Johnson in the control tower to confirm your flight to the moon." Snyder is pissed they don't have data on the Seattle population thanks to him. However, later Katie gets such information from the SRMA. Remember, even the receptionist couldn't get into the system last episode. So was the system wiped or not? Did Snyder kill the man for some other reason? The drones leave Seattle, and despite what Snyder says about Kynes not wanting them there, last episode Kynes said, quote, "Hidden in the walls of this colony are the means to fight a real war against the global authority, and I hold the keys," unquote. In the walls are the drones. It's possible Kynes is the one who sent the drones away, perhaps knowing they are in danger, or perhaps he gave them a mission. Who knows? Note that next to Snyder is a big black man in a gray hat uniform. Unlike Kynes, he has a very deep voice. After this scene, note that Amy is no longer with Kynes. Did they find a more qualified doctor, or is something else going on? Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Remember how Amy encouraged Broussard to take control of the resistance, saying Kynes was not needed. So if he were to die or disappear, it wouldn't really change things. The things falling from the sky look kind of like meteors or comets. I think it's worth noting that when a meteor or comet bursts over a sandy area, it creates what is known as desert glass. Is that what happened to Dallas? The shield holds for the first attack. Is such technology super advanced Star Trek type stuff? Plasma shields are being researched for stopping missiles. Small plasma explosions can be placed in a grid or dome pattern. However, that's designed to damage a missile enough to deactivate it. It would have almost no effect on a meteor or comet. So this is pretty impressive technology indeed. The second attack avoids this shield. I'm guessing it hit the island. This would have destroyed all the outliers. Of course, if some outliers were secretly smuggled out first, then there would be a whole outlier army that nobody thought could possibly exist. Were the underwater drones actually submarines? That's kind of what I thought, but now we may never know. Katie's last act in this world is to get stuck like a deer in the headlights. She should have hit the dirt. Just a reminder, Save Colony. Use the Save Colony hashtag on Twitter and sign the petitions and do whatever else you can to publicize the cancellation of Colony, because a lot of people don't even know, and to fight for its possible return somehow, some way, somewhere.